Hi, I'm Dr. Randy Martin, and I'm pleased to be joined by Dr. Greg Stone, who many of you know. Greg is at Columbia University in New York. And Greg, thanks for joining us. You're going to tell me a little bit about the Platinum trial. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, sure. Well, Randy, as you know, we've made tremendous advances in patients with coronary artery disease that need to undergo angioplasty, from the balloon angioplasty era to bare metal stents to first-generation drug-eluting stents, and now even more advanced, better performing stents. And specifically, there's one stent which has kind of become the most widely used in the world because of its optimal safety and efficacy profile. And it's a stent that elutes the anti-proliferative drug Everolimus from a fluorinated polymer, and both the polymer and the drug are on top of a cobalt-chromium metal alloy stent.
Okay.
So this is either called the Xience V or the Promis stent, that's its trade name, but basically it's an Everolimus-Eluting stent, and it's used in about 65% of worldwide procedures because of very low restenosis and low stent thrombosis. But the companies are always trying to make the stents better, and it's going to be hard to improve the clinical outcomes of the stent, but ease of use characteristics may be able to be improved. And so a new metal alloy has been developed called platinum chromium as opposed to cobalt chromium. And so it has no cobalt in it, but it's got platinum and a little bit more iron in it. And platinum in particular is a little more radio dense, so you can see the stent better, and it's also a little more resistant to recoil. And the stent has been somewhat reconfigured, so it should be more flexible, more deliverable, better side branch access, all the things that interventional cardiologists love. So the FDA, of course, before a new stent can be approved in the United States, requires a large randomized trial, and we did the Platinum trial, which was 1,530 patients undergoing coronary stent implantation, randomized 1-to-1 to either the predicate cobalt chromium Everolimus-Eluting stent or this new platinum chromium Everolimus-Eluting stent. Same polymer, same drug, just the underlying stent. And this was powered for non-inferiority. We wanted to show, we didn't think it would be better, but we wanted to show that it was at least as good. And we were able to show that.
So that's, I was going to ask you, what are the outcomes?
Yes. So we followed the patients for 1 year, 1,530 of them randomized around the world, by the way, more than half in the United States. And the primary endpoint was target lesion failure, which is a composite safety and efficacy endpoint of either cardiac death or myocardial infarction related to the target vessel, or recurrent ischemia necessitating a repeat either PCI or surgery. That's called target lesion revascularization. And at the end of the day, at the end of the 1 year period, both stents had approximately a 3% target lesion failure rate. And there was clearly non-inferiority was met, but that's a remarkably low number to put that in perspective.
Very small.
97% of patients had no adverse event whatsoever within the year. When we broke it down to the components, death was very low, myocardial infarction was very infrequent, and ischemia-driven target lesion revascularization or restenosis was 1.9%. So only 1 out of 50 patients with either stent, 1.9% with either stent, 1 out of 50 patients came back. And finally, there's stent thrombosis, the most feared complication of stents, and that's always been very, very low with this fluorinated polymer configuration, and that occurred in 0.4% of patients with both stents, so 1 out of 250 patients. So overall, we were able to demonstrate that this new stent configuration has similar safety and efficacy compared to the predicate stent. This trial wasn't designed to actually test those ease of use characteristics. That'll come out in use in thousands of patients. But we were very pleased to see that it looks like this will be the third metal that we believe FDA will approve for use in stents, from stainless steel to cobalt chromium and now platinum chromium.
Fabulous. You did a great job of explaining it, and thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for joining us for Cardio Videos, for Cardio Source. I'm Dr. Randy Martin.